This week, before I start the show, I need to say a few words about the tragic passing of one of the snowboarding community's most beloved leaders, Jeff Keenan, in an avalanche at a southeastern BC heli operation that took 3 lives, including the owner of the heli operation and Jeff. As a professional snowboarder, Jeff was powerfully well-rounded, riding streets and backcountry equally well. As a co-founder at Dinosaurs Will Die, Jeff Keenan pioneered a way of selling snowboards that started with the authentic love of snowboarding. The creativity at DWD was multiplied by the wonderful people Jeff's energy attracted. Jeff excelled at filming, shooting clips for Standard Films, starting Runway Films, which eventually became Full Moon Films, with his wife Leanne. And he was a critical part of the team that brought us the Baked Salmon Bank Slalom at Mount Seymour, arguably the biggest and definitely the best community snowboarding event Vancouver's ever had. His connection with his family looked to be his fuel. He always seemed to be smiling. He's going to be sorely missed. Thank you for everything, Jeff Keenan. I'm putting a moment of silence here. FNRad is presented by Flojoy water, which is purified by granite rocks. Flojoy, a true gift of nature, and Chris Roach. And Essential Toothpaste Tablets, travel-ready, eco-friendly toothpaste your taste buds will enjoy. Wired Snowboards Factory in Vancouver builds high-quality custom snowboards for about the same price as other brands' regular boards. I've created several one-of-a-kind wired customs, including a Chase 162 that's seen hundreds of my best powder days. Get yourself a game-changing snowboard and join the Wired team with Devin Walsh, Sasha Daly, and many others. Wired Snowboards. For more information, go to wiredsnowboards.com. Fixed bindings are FNRad. The comfort, performance, and quality of fixed bindings stokes me out every time I snowboard. Their commitment to making bindings that work amazingly and give you no issues puts Fix ahead of other binding brands. It's just that simple. Buy Fix bindings at an authorized dealer or go to fixbindingco.com. Bluebird Coffee Tuning and Rentals in Squamish is the coolest new stop on your way to Whistler. Bluebird offers quality board tunes using state-of-the-art equipment, premium rentals for every level of rider with demos of Burton step-ons, and award-winning coffee and incredible smoothies. For a blend of expert knowledge, convenience, and lots of charm, stop by Bluebird in Squamish and get your board tuned at the newest mandatory stop on your way to Whistler. Pro Standard makes the grill mount the best mount for your Insta360 GoPro or DJI camera. It's a heat-moldable mouth mount, tripod, hand grip, hook mount, bottle mount, wall mount, clamp mount, glove mount, and shoe mount, designed by snowboard legend Ken Ochenbach to get you the perfect angle for snowboarding, surfing, biking, and it'll replace 90% of your other mounts. Use code FNRAD to get 20 off your first order at prostandard.com. Anon snow goggles enhance and protect your vision with unmatched optical clarity. Anon's Magnatech quick lens change technology allows you to swap lenses with ease. All Anon goggles are engineered to deliver no fog days and pair perfectly with Anon helmets and MFI magnetic face masks. Get yourself the best goggles at an authorized Anon dealer near you. Support also comes from our friends at the Boardroom Snowboard Shop. Check out boardroomshop.com and use code FNRAD10 for 10% off regular priced items and FNRAD5 for 5% off sale items. 1910, the collaborative artworks of Jamie Lynn and Scof. FNRAD 20 saves you 20% off at 1910.com. New Greens, the superfood green drink sourced from American farms. Use code FNRAD for 20% off at newgreens.com. I want to thank DeKind Snowboard outerwear, travel bags, and backpacks, Rip Curl's Anti-Series outerwear, and our friends at Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, and Cypress Mountain for their support. Mark Sollors is a distinguished Burton pro with a resume of parts and published photos that one can only get through years of hard work. His smooth style and positive outlook shine through in everything he does. He's a founding member of the Man Boys and the Powder Hounds, and he's building on his pro snowboarding career with design work at Burton. We were on a trip to Fernie just this past weekend, and I have to say, having Mark there was a highlight for everyone in that snowcat. Here's an interview with the one and only Mark Sollors.
There was like a Man Boys podcast starting by like Rusty and Jody, and I think it was just more of an outlet for everyone to chat. And then Jody really took the reins.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it's not going to be something for me. I don't speak very much. I'm pretty quiet.
Let's start out there. You're an introverted professional athlete. There's a lot of them, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think snowboarding is actually a great sport for those types of people because it's very much an individual sport. Yeah, we're like social and we're out there, but it's like when we're riding, we're very much just like in our own bodies, in our own mind, talking to ourselves, talking our way down the slope, So that's kind of the best thing for us and for me personally. So yeah. It's definitely been a shift though, like as I have become like, the professional career that I've had, I've definitely had to like step outside my usual comfort zone and like try to open up more and like force myself to be more like engaging in a conversation when a lot of the times I would have usually like shied away. So
I saw you at the catboarding thing today just being like the consummate professional, like happy about the day, stoked about everything.
I mean, how can you not?
It was a great day. It was an incredible day. You're
fun.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. But like you were definitely like the cheerleader of like, fuck yeah. Like that was sick.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. But I would say we were fortunate to have great people out there as well. So I didn't feel like I was trying to lead that in any sense. I feel like I was just like mimicking everyone else's energy.
Sure,
like we were all just out there bored and having a great time. So it was awesome. Yeah. If I'm a little slow with my words, is because we just had, I think, 12 or 13 runs here at Fernie Wilderness Adventure and just rode POW all day, and it was all time.
A full day of just like nonstop. And the guides had like an agenda to bring us to things to jump off of.
Yeah.
I don't think we had one run where there wasn't like a cliff or a jump in the run.
Yeah, it's kind of like the classic, like they knew the assignment. They knew they were just like, all right, we have like the Burton crew, we have a bunch of retailers from all over Western Canada. Let's just show them our hits, show them the jumps, cliffs, and we'll be able to go and have fun. So,
These guys have built just an amazing operation here.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I was really not expecting the lodge to be this, because Zach's like, oh, it's a pretty basic lodge, like it's wood fires. I'm like, this is the best.
But this is what it is,
This
like
is the best.
I don't know if you think about like the history of it. It's like we didn't get into snowboarding to be luxury. Sometimes we're fortunate to be amongst luxury, but we're snowboarders through and through.
I feel uncomfortable there sometimes.
In a cabin in the woods riding powder. It's like that's what I feel like that's our roots right there.
I could not agree with you more.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. So like we're having this stoke day. One of the things I've noticed, like, over the course of 10 years of doing the show, I've gone from being just like a super fan of snowboarding and the pros to like sometimes getting to ride with them, which, I mean, I guess I kind of always had that, but I just never felt like I had earned a spot at that thing.
Isn't that a funny conversation? That's a whole nother conversation there where it's almost like you're getting hit with some imposter syndrome because you built this great show, which congratulations, by the way, 10 years. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
But you very much have a seat at this table. You have more, more history about snowboarding than anyone, like myself or anyone here. And it's like, even having our conversations in the cat and how many people you've interviewed and the history and everything, it's just like you're a wealth of knowledge. So it's great.
And all of it came from just following what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? As opposed to like what I was just saying to you. It's like you're a natural out there. So there's some sort of balance between, longevity on a team like Burton, which is, inarguably the best team in snowboarding. So if you get on the Burton A team, like that's just a dream in itself. And a lot of people have had that dream and then done 2 or 3 years and then just been like, I'm not the best in the world. I'm ducking out. Right.
Well, I don't think
I'm going way back. Way back.
Yeah.
Like there was this thing with snowboarding where it was like, if you were 30, you were you are done.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it definitely was built on like a very youthful young person's sport. I mean, I think we can just agree. In the 90s, it was like insanely rebellious, and that was like a thriving, like growing state of snowboarding.
Yeah.
And I think now we have to look at it as like snowboarding has matured. I mean, Jake's always said that. It's like that's the most dangerous thing is like snowboarding maturing, you know. And now we're in that space where you have people in their 60s and 70s that got into snowboarding when they were in their youthful years, and loved the sport, you know. So it's like we have this generational. This isn't just like a sport for the youth. It's not just a sport for somebody older. It's anyone and anywhere. And I think companies across the industry are starting to realize that, where they're like, okay, well, there's a home for everyone here. You know, it's like snowboarding is like such an amazing sport for a lot of reasons, but it's like one of them now is like, you know, somebody that's a father can go snowboarding with their sons and daughters, you know, that are just getting into the sport that, you know, the father, or sorry, I should say the father and the mother, like loved when they were kids. And then now they're watching their kids.
Isn't that crazy?
It's really cool. So it's just like we're in a very unique kind of space where we get to watch a sport mature and grow.
Yeah, when I was young, you know, the guys that were getting 100 days got a job at night in Whistler and rode every day. Now it's Ken Ock, and he's got like 130 days or something right now.
Yeah.
It's still the same guy, really. I mean, he moved to Whistler and rode all the time. But what I was going to say is it's like there is a reason to keep pros on the team, right? Like, it's sometimes pros, especially in the 90s, felt that need to be like rebellious against everything, even the company that they rode for.
Yeah.
Whereas like now pros that have been on teams for a good amount of time, I'm thinking like a Jamie Lynn, Matt Cummings, you know, the longest running pros.
Yeah.
They are a part of the brand, and the brand is a part of them. You know what I mean? And it's awesome to see.
Definitely.
I think that kind of thing.
I mean, I guess it feels kind of hard for me to share that opinion just because it's obviously biased, you know. It's like I obviously want to stay in the industry as much as I can. I love the sport, and I'm going to be a lifelong snowboarder.
Right.
So why not, if I can, stay within this industry as long as possible?
Right.
So for me to say it's important for a company to keep us around, I think is like, that's a very biased thing to say. But if I try to, you know, like zoom out and look at it from like a very just like top down view, I think it's incredibly important. You know, it's like, you know, look at it this way. I actually had a friend compare it to me in this way, where I was like, you know, like what happens after snowboarding? Like, what would you want to go into? You know, I was like, well, maybe I'd go into like film production. Like, I like producing stuff. And I thought about all these ideas. And then this one friend, he's a doctor, and he's like, that's ridiculous. He's like, why would you leave that? He's like, you've been doing this for like over 20 years. You have 20 years of experience and knowledge and like understanding of this sport and snowboarding and the product. He's like, why would you just like up and leave and go start a whole new career? And he's like, I went to school for, you know, 8 years and 7 years, 10 years to be like a doctor. And he's like, I wouldn't just like finish that and be like, that was fun learning all that stuff. I'm going to go learn another skill over here. You know, it's like,
that's a really good point.
It's kind of that comparison. And again, it's like my point of view is going to be different from somebody else's point of view, but I do look at it in the sense of after all these years, I have value to give back to these companies. And especially on the product side, I really enjoy working with product. And if that's what I'm spending a lot of my winter on, is helping to like further product and make it better. And that's like it's almost like selfishly, that's like a spot for me to leave a stamp on, you know, how I gave back to the snowboarding industry. Hopefully Absolutely. I made a product better.
Totally.
It'd be a great feeling to like at the end of my career being like, well, you know, I helped work on this and I feel like I elevated this to a certain degree. It's like that would be a great feeling.
Right. Yeah, so this is a Burton trip. So for me today, I'm riding Burton gear. I don't normally ride Burton gear. I've got wired boards that made, you know.
What board were you on today? I didn't
today
even look down.
I was on the Alakazam. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, great board.
I loved it. I mean, I just got on it.
I mean, those conditions were pretty ideal for it, so that's great.
Very, very natural. And then I was riding the bindings that have, like, I mean, they were baseless, but not, you know, like they had...
EST.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, so the mounting,
Cartel
basically
X,
the screws are
ESTs.
on the outside, yeah.
And I'm looking at this gear, and I'm thinking of people that I've talked to that somebody figured out that buckle or that ladder strap. Like there's pieces of people under my feet. You know what I mean? Like real, like amazing people that snowboarded and tested and rode this shit and gave their input. It's not just a plastic piece that came out of a mold somewhere.
Exactly.
So it's incredible, dude. I loved it.
It's actually fine.
It felt really cool.
It's a great way to have this conversation, because I think a lot of people right now will look at new product and be like, oh, you know, bindings are fine the way they are, you know, and yeah, strap bindings are amazing. They're great, you know, but we've also had 40 years of fine tuning strap bindings, you know, like
exactly.
It's not like the bindings that we ride right now are the same in the 80s, you know.
We talked about those clips today.
Yeah, so it's kinda, it's like anything. Like I try to look at it and it's like everything is going to evolve, everything is going to progress, everything is going to change. You know, nothing is stagnant. That's just not the way life is. So if I look at, you know, like our new progression, not to feed this conversation in step on, but I think it's just the easiest way to talk about this.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
Talking about product is like, all right, cool. Like we came out with Step-On in 2017, I think is when it was released to the public.
Yeah.
Like the Step-Ons we have now are vastly different from the Step-Ons that came out in 2017.
8 years later.
Yeah.
It went so fast.
And that's kind of why I'm enjoying this, like working with these product teams to be like, all right, cool. Like, well, where are the ways that we can make this better? How can we progress this? How can this get better and better and better? So, you know, in 3 years, it's even more elevated. And then if you completely zoom out and look 20 years from now, it's like, well, what is that binding going to look like? Is Step-On going to continue to grow into a spot where people will look back at something else and be like, oh, that's so archaic, you know? It's
yeah.
Or maybe there'll be a completely new technology that comes out in 15 years and people will be like, you don't need to do that. Step-On's great. You know?
Right.
But really it's this constant evolution. I think that's how I look at it, as the healthiest way to look at snowboarding and the equipment that we ride. And it's like, how can we change it and make it better? Because nobody looked at the gear in the 80s and said, this is perfect, let's not change it.
Oh, God, no.
So
I've heard on the podcast people getting brand new stuff and destroying it, essentially, right? Like the designers going like, oh, you traced a plate on that Joyride board and cut it before you wrote it? Like, what are you talking about? Those boards are expensive. You kids can't do this kind of thing. And one of the first
and then what happened? We started creating twin tip boards.
Twin tip boards, exactly.
It's like sick. It's great, and that was like revolutionary because that's what
revolutionary. I grew up on, so. Exactly. Yeah. So one of the things about Burton in the early '90s that I heard and blew my mind was that they were already working on gear, not for next year, and not even for just the year after that. They were already like stacking years out, like 3 years ahead. And there was, there was no one else at that time in the industry that was not flying by the seat of their pants going like, let's just, hopefully this year's stuff is ready in time for the show.
Yeah. I think now most companies run 2 or 3 years in advance. Like I know we're already on like 2027. We're already talking about product in 2028. So it's like those conversations are like well and happening, you know, like the product I'm on right now is, and what you were on was 2026. So that'll come out in the fall, ready for winter 2026.
Sick.
2027 is like more or less already done.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
With maybe some minor changes if there's like production issues or last minute changes, whatever. Yeah. And then like the mapping of 2028 is pretty much already there. And that's all like, again, it's kind of crazy. Like the more you learn about like the business and stuff, and that's what you have to do, like supply chain and like
absolutely
getting the product to make the product, you know, getting the materials, sourcing all that stuff out. It's like the earlier you start that stuff, the cheaper it is, the more sustainable you can do the background and make sure you're getting something like proper and good and not just doing like we all know about like fast fashion right now and how bad that is for the environment.
It's terrible. Like, yeah.
The sooner you can go and look into the materials and know what you're working with and continue to evolve it, it's like that's kind of the easiest way to do it. You just have to look out and ahead.
Yeah. So finishing what I was talking about, seeing you up there, being the consummate professional, there's a reason for longevity with riders. You know, there's a reason that Mikey Rentz is still on the Burton team.
Yeah.
He's absolutely wonderful to be around.
Yeah.
He's like really fun and he loves snowboarding. Like
he's great.
He loves snowboarding and he always has, right?
Yeah.
And I got that feeling when I went to Burton that this is a company that at the helm there are people that that really have
Absolutely.
the love of snowboarding at the forefront of their minds.
Absolutely. I mean, Donna is such an amazing woman. I mean, it's incredible, like how strong she stands up for things, you know, how much she supports her company, how much she supports everyone in snowboarding. You know, she is like snowboarding through and through, you know, like she'll go to battles with fists to like stand up for snowboarding.
Crazy,
you know?
crazy.
And it trickles down too, like the people that run each department, the engineers that work on the product, the designers, like everyone there is like through and through a snowboarder, and they're doing their best to make the best product they can.
Yeah.
You know, that's as simple as we can put it. It's like there's no shortcuts to any of this stuff, you know, like everyone there is doing it for a reason, and we're all working to make things the best we can, and so that we all as snowboarders can have the best experience on the mountain.
It's crazy how weather dependent it is, right? Like if we get hit with a crap year, like we did last year, was it last year or the year before? BC had a real bum year, and then it just trickles down through. The retailers have overstock left over, and then people aren't excited to buy new stuff, and it was just like, but then you have a hammer snow year, and the whole industry just puffs up again. Like everybody's like, smile on their face. This is going to be great. Like, I'm still learning like that business side of it, you know, and understanding that. But I agree, even just like the energy behind the community, you know, when you have like a good winter, everyone's fired up. It's you have a bad winter, everyone's just like itching for the next year, or they're just kind of like, well, you know, this year Japan was good, so next year I'm going to plan a Japan trip. You know? It's like that. Like you can feel that in the community. Everyone's kind of like, okay, well, I didn't get it this year, or like they're like, I felt like I missed some of it this year. So where can I get it next year? It's unreal how, you know, like unified as a world we are right now. If you look at it through the eyes of a snowboarder, like I heard a couple of conversations here about Japan, where to go, where not to go, where's blown out, where's the best. People are, I mean, Japan is far away. We're not talking about, hey, should we go to Manning Park? That's like a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
People are global. If there's no
Manning
snow
Park
here.
is sick, dude.
Oh, Manning Park is fun, dude.
But we're also very spoiled, like living here in Western Canada and the Pacific Northwest of North America. It's like we're very spoiled with like some great mountains and great snow a lot of the time.
Oh my God.
But when it doesn't work, it kind of opens that eye to like really viewing it from like how snowboarders in the rest of the world will see the slopes and see snow.
It's interesting.
You know, like when I was in China, it was like it's 75%, 80% man-made snow.
Tell me about China. Like it's what?
It was great.
Are there
great
shops
experience
there?
Yeah,
Is it
was
like
amazing.
There's a whole community there of snowboarders?
So obviously, like I saw one side of that country. You know, I didn't go to China and get to see like Beijing or Shanghai or any of that. We went to like this snowboard and ski resorts. Yeah. But it was incredible. I mean, it's running like 80% snowboarders to skiers right now. Like snowboarding is like thriving there, and I think it really kicked off after the last Olympics when Su Yiming won gold. I think that brought a lot of attention to snowboarding in China. But what I was kind of talking about with snow conditions is basically like everyone there would line up like 45 minutes before the lift opens. There's no POW. It's just everyone wants the cords. Whoa. Everyone wants that groomer. Everyone wants those best conditions they can get. Yeah. And for having those people love snowboarding so much in conditions that like groomers and hard packed and that kind of stuff, I think it speaks volume to like you can love any aspect of snowboarding where it's like,
absolutely,
that's what's in front of you. You're gonna have fun. You know, if we're like here, we're fortunate to just have a powder day, and we had a lot of fucking fun. So it's like you can kind of just like enjoy what's in front of you being on a snowboard instead of always just searching out for the best. And if it's not the best, then you don't like it. You know, I feel like that speaks to like snowboarding as a core.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I go snowboarding, some days, like we have a day like today, and then I go tomorrow and it's warm. And it takes a couple of runs, but then once you get used to what the conditions are for that day, then you're riding to those conditions. And then you're like, oh, we're having fun. Okay, now we're hitting jumps, whatever. Yeah. Now we're going to sit and build a little
No matter what the conditions are, you can have fun. It's just your attitude and your perspective.
100%. 100%.
But I think that's also just like metaphor for life as well.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I don't think that translates in the industry. That's the thing, is that the industry does get bummed out when there's a bum year.
I get it. Yeah.
But the community doesn't usually. Usually the community finds a way through somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, most times.
Yeah,
you travel somewhere else, go down to
Yeah.
Go
Or
down
we'll
where
just
the
start
snow is.
speaking about next year's going to be our year.
It's
And
true.
we live in years, you know.
We do,
Or you
we
know,
do.
it's like, oh, I've been a season pass holder, a whistler for 20 years. Oh my God, it's 20 seasons, 20 years of my life. You know, it's like, it's things like that you start recognizing where you're like, next year I'll do this. And you're like, next year means another year of your life.
Dude, I'm way ahead of you on that. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
I watch the curve fall off. Like where it's like, okay, progression every year. Like I'm getting a little bit better every year. And then I'm starting the year a little worse than the years before now. And like it's
That's
really
kind of sad.
It is so sad. There's a lot of listeners to the show that know what I'm
Every
talking
year
about.
It's a little bit worse.
And you're just
I'm
like
so
a
sorry to
little
hear
worse.
that.
Oh no, a little. Oh my God! Like I stopped being able to grab my board. Like that clip of me
Yeah.
dropping and touching the thing.
Yeah.
I'll insert it right here because I'm pretty proud of it. It's a good little clip. I missed my board by about 3 inches. Like my hand's not even on it. I know how to tweak
Well, to
and
be
make it
fair,
look like
I've
it. Yeah.
missed a lot of grabs, so don't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it. I mean, I really, really enjoy snowboarding, probably more now than I ever have.
Oh, I'm very happy
because
to
I
hear that.
don't need anything from it. Whereas before it was like kind of an identity thing. Like
Yeah.
you're sort of ranking yourself in you're going up there and you're watching. Oh, hey, I'm pretty good for.
Yeah.
You know, this Grouse Mountain here or whatever, or the guy trying to get the POW. Yeah, we got the best POW shots today or whatever.
Yeah.
And now
That's-
it's just like I go because I love going no matter what. And if we
It's
get a
amazing
shot,
how
we get a shot.
similar the way you describe that is to like my experience with my career in professional snowboarding and like a lot of other professionals as well. You know, it's like you're like still breaking in and you're almost trying to prove yourself or you're comparing yourself to other people. And the longer you're there, the longer you're a part of it. You kind of like, it's not that you don't care as much. It's that you're like, you're riding for yourself more than the comparison to other people. And
Absolutely.
now, you know, with this, I mean, very thankful long career I've had, it's exactly what you talked about, where you're just like, I'm just looking for the things that like make me happy or the things that like I want to go and ride and what we're doing together and like doing for like with Burton. It's like we do a lot of cool shit.
So
And those are the things
cool.
that make me really happy right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I did see that you had to do some heavy lifting today in the fact that like you're the pro here. So
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
here's the jump. You're gonna hit it. You're not gonna turn around the side of it and go, you know what, I'm not feeling this today. You're like hitting the jumps.
Oh, yeah, because I
you're
still
poking
love
the tricks.
doing that.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
get me
yeah,
wrong here.
Yeah.
I might be
Yeah.
getting older and getting in my career, but it's like I still fucking love jumping. Like that's
Dude,
that's
you're
not
killing
gonna
it,
change
too.
a thing.
Yeah.
Like when we had that jump and I was like, this thing is just a perfect front three.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go
Bam. Yeah.
hit a big front three. I was like,
Yeah.
that sounds great to me right now. Like I still love doing that stuff. I'm definitely not like slowing down in the sense of like, oh, like there's these things where it's like, oh, like quote unquote for the people listening, I don't have to do these things, quote unquote, you know, but it's like, but that's never the case. Like it's always
Right.
like, what do I want to do? It's like,
Yeah.
I want to go and do these things. It's like, yeah, it's like I'm not filming as much as I used to. I only went filming for like a month this year, and I've been doing a lot of other like brand and product stuff. And it's not like, oh, like I don't have to film anymore. It's like, no, I would love to continue filming, but I know I have other things that I want to take care of. And like working on product is one of those things that I really enjoy doing. So I'm going to go spend some energy there. I'll go film when I can and I'll do this because that's what I love doing. I'll also go and do this trip over here because that's what I love doing. So it's more this like, I don't know, like it's like feeding like my internal kind of like, what do I want to get done? It's like I still want to go and snowboard. I still want to hit big shit. I still want to ride stuff. But I also like, I'm really enjoying these new avenues that I'm starting to explore, and I want to spend energy there. So it's almost like I need more time. That's really what it comes down to is I need winter to be longer.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and I mean, you were describing a typical season for you right now, and really, even summer, you're going on a trip to the southern hemispheres.
Yeah.
You know, I I get what you're saying though. I really am intrigued by because you were one of the guys that was at those rider roundtables, like when Jake was still around. Like you've been doing those for a long time, right?
Yeah. I think before his passing, that would have been 2019 was our last rider roundtable altogether. So I think the first one I went to was like 08 or 09. So I mean, it's not like crazy long time, but it's still like 11, 12 years of doing those. Every spring we would go to his house in Long Island.
Wow.
And we would sit in the room And we would be there, and every head of every department would run through every single product that Burton made, and we would all talk about it, and we would all sign off on it. We'd say yes, no, every colorway. Like, we've had these things where there was like a colorway in there, and we were like, I don't like that line, or I don't like that color. Everyone would have this revolt about changing it, and it would send like chaos through the office of like, we need to substitute this color.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because you're looking at the ball's already rolling. People have already started to source that material in that color.
Yeah. So we do. So obviously, since his passing, it's changed a little bit. We still do. We call them rider summits now. So they're not necessarily rider roundtables. The same thing. We're trying to, from the sounds of it, they were trying to build something a little bit new. Get us in early instead of where I just described. Like us changing a color last minute. Yeah. They want us to come into it in an earlier stage in product development, so that we can actually guide the creation of it rather than just saying yes or no at the end.
Yeah.
And that's, I've been working with product for a long time, but I'm definitely now more integrated into the beginning steps of it and actually guiding where we go, where we spend some energy, what projects are worth spending time and what aren't, just based on them building stuff and giving feedback and being as thorough as I can about what I'm feeling with my snowboard.
Yeah, and it's not for everyone. That's the thing. That not every person
it's homework. It's school. Yeah. It's work.
Yeah.
It's like I send back like feedback reports. Like I design graphics and like try to explain as clearly as possible what I'm feeling or ways we can make changes. And then the engineers that are there actually tooling like, hey, how can we make this idea that I'm talking about into an actual product?
I love that. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, when I was a buyer for the boardroom, I found that was not what I like to do. I can't sit and look at colorways and where the pocket is on a jacket, like it just isn't. I just can't. I couldn't do it. It was really difficult for me. Maybe I was falling asleep because I was partying all night in Vegas, and then you would be sitting.
So
in
those
Vegas.
Are during what the SIA or whatever, the Las Vegas trade shows. Yeah.
And also it could be that Sean Johnson is showing me jackets and I'm like, this is not going to work. Like I'm looking at these things going, I'm not certain that this brand is going to actually go. And but then I don't.
That's a hard.
It's a hard
eye to look things.
It's not me. That wasn't me. I was not a great buyer because I'm a lazy person in a certain way. Like I want to do it with the least amount of effort. So I would be like, well, you're the rep. You know what the colorways that everyone else ordered. Mm-hmm. Just do, and you know what the size runs are. Like if I order like 20 extra smalls and one large, like I'm doing it wrong. You know how to do it already. Do the size run of the best colors that you think are going to sell. You're the fucking rep. And
well, that's a dangerous thing. Then you're just basically letting them sell you everything, and they're like, "Well, you'll just spend."
But if it doesn't sell, it's on them, not on me. That was the thing. Like if it doesn't sell and you ordered it, then it's on you. Whereas if it's the rep, I'm like, this is the easiest thing. Let the rep write the order, but then they have to promise to take it back at the end if they loaded you up with shit.
Yeah, that's a world I have no experience in. So
it was boring because at that time, there's no snowboarding in Las Vegas or San Diego or anywhere that they had the trade shows at that time. They moved them to Denver. They moved that one to Denver to have on snow demos. But there's this kind of falling out in the industry where really the snowboarders that go every day aren't usually like also the guys that work every day in the industry making things run. You know what I mean? Those two groups are kind of mutually exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. That's a very, I don't know if I have much of an opinion on it. I feel like I could answer this conversation, but I feel like I don't have enough of an opinion to share my point of view when I don't.
Well, because
when I'm not knowledgeable
because you're out there with all the riders riding all the time.
Yeah, and like the sales side is definitely a world I don't have experience in. You know, like the marketing side, I understand that. The product development side, I understand that.
A lot of those guys are here, hey? Like sales and marketing
with these people and in-person relations with, like snowboarders on mountains. Like I can do that all day long.
Yeah.
The actual like crushing of the numbers and how all that works.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not
margins on, like all the.
You pointed out a weakness in my current path of understanding the industry. So maybe that's an area I need to learn this summer.
You'll learn it. Yeah. I mean, I heard from the old Rossi rep, my friend Fred, that he was there when JF found out that not every Rossi JF that was sold to a shop sold. Like, he's like, wait, what do you mean? There's some left over? He had no idea that there could even be some left over. He had never thought about it before.
Yeah.
Because as a rider, you just think, okay, well, they gave me royalty for 500 boards. That's great.
Yeah.
But then you find out there's 300 of them stuck somewhere in some market where they didn't sell.
So that's something I already know about, because sell-through is like a very, very important thing nowadays, is making sure that, you're not making more than you're actually going to sell, whether that's samples or actual production.
Yeah.
So I think that's those are one of those ways to fine tune how a company is ordering and running itself to make sure and that's just a sustainability thing too, so that you're not just wasting product.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
actually hitting targets that you think you're going to achieve.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, is forecasting is based on guesses, your best guess.
Yeah. And I feel like there was time in this industry where it was not looking at sell-through necessarily. It was hitting unrealistic targets where they're just you have to sell 20% more than you did last year.
If you want to be a dealer, you need to step your game up.
It's going to work.
It's kind of not fair if the guy is selling as much, or girl, the shop is selling as much as they can, and there's mitigating things. But Burton figured that out too. Like Donna talked about that. She's like, yeah, that was, we adjusted to be more realistic.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I got from her, was that she's interested in the relationships. Like, it's not just a bottom line thing. It's like a relationship with dealers. Like, look at all the social events that Burton does. It's nuts. And this being one of them. Like this. So what happened for me was I fell off. My Anon deal fell through because it was through the States. There was something going on. And they were like, okay, we're not doing it this year. But if you want to do an event, call me and we'll send you a bunch of stuff, whatever.
Cool.
But then I was a little bit butthurt. And I was like, well, if you're not sponsoring the show, why would I want to bring your stuff in? I could bring in somebody who wants to sponsor the show. Well, then Evan found out through John Roth that, no, he was listening to Mikkel's episode. And I was lamenting about it. And he's like, I don't know how that happened, buddy. Let's just pretend nothing happened. And that you've always, you're back on. And he took care of things so fast.
Oh, good.
And then a week later, I get a call from Zach, hey, what are you doing on the 21st? And I'm like, honestly, between you and me and the listeners, I hung up the phone. I hugged my wife. I'm like, oh my God, I fucking love this. This is the best thing that could ever happen.
Yeah.
I'm getting invited to a trip that, I just know it's going to be amazing snow. And it was.
Yeah.
It's just it's so wonderful that the industry is still supporting itself and the riders.
Yeah.
The people
it sounds, I don't want to say this because it just sounds so lame, but the industry is a community, and I think to a certain degree, everyone wants to take care of each other within our snowboard industry.
To a certain degree, I agree.
I definitely know that there's things that don't work out that are all roses,
Sure.
and that happens. I mean, that's life. That's everything.
And people straddle the line.
I think deep down, we're all snowboarders to the core, and we're all very similar in a lot of ways. And I think we recognize that. So.
Well, I don't know if it got brought up in the Cat today, and I don't know if you've seen it, but Jerry Lopez, there's a Patagonia Jerry Lopez documentary, just came out about a year ago. And he says in there that, looking back on his life and his achievements, that he was really selfish. And I'd never thought of it like that before. But snowboarding on some level is quite selfish, when there's a POW day and you maybe have some tentative plans with a friend or a loved one or something. And you're like, can we just push it? This is a window that it is a selfish pursuit in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah.
You have to do stuff for yourself.
It is, but I also think you could look back on most people's lives as they get older and say in their younger years they were selfish.
Absolutely.
I think that's like, if I look back on my life,
yeah.
I'm 38, I'm looking back not that many years.
yeah, pretty young.
But there were definitely times where I made a lot of very selfish decisions, and that's very true. But I think as you look back and as you kind of like learn from your past lives and the person you are, and try to like almost like audit yourself and audit your own history. Yeah. You see a lot of negative, but you also see a lot of positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't even think selfish is a negative word. I think that it's like a lot of times we're too unselfish. We're too selfless, right? Like the boss calls and says, I need you to stay for an extra 2 hours to get ready for Boxing Day on Christmas Eve. My family's sitting there waiting for dinner, and I'm like, I gotta make these signs. I'm sorry.
I mean,
it's just gonna be.
I don't think that's a selfish thing to say no.
Right.
I think that's a very like unreasonable request.
I know.
But I do recognize what you mean, and it's true. Like selfishness isn't a negative if you're using it in a way to make sure that you yourself are taken care of.
Yeah.
So I do think, again, this can be like probably taken out of context in a negative way, but I think you have to be full yourself before you can start helping others and the people around you.
We flew here. They say put your mask on before helping other people, because you can't really help someone if you're gasping for air.
Yeah.
So you need to pump your own tires. You need to, when you're dead, you have to kind of pave the road for your kids so that it's kind of smooth sailing. Because if you're just in the service of your kids, driving yourself nuts, and I see parents do it because you also want to be quite selfless with like you love your kids, you're trying to do the best.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line between like losing yourself and then not being a great role model, or being too selfish and not being a great role model.
But that's actually like one of my best friends, he has a kid, and he said he always wants to come snowboarding, and I'm like, it's great that you can still have time to like come snowboarding and you haven't like just given up any free time to your kid. And he's like, no, because I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to lose the life I have.
Yeah.
He's like, because I want him to see that you can grow up and you can have your own lives and your own responsibilities, and I want him to be proud of the person I am, instead of him, like ditching his whole life to raise this kid and then losing who he is.
Man,
and it was a very powerful thing
that.
to hear. Like you don't lose yourself.
Yeah, I didn't have that. I really was like, this is 100% sacrifice. No matter what, kids come first 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And it didn't work for me. Like you start seeing your kids don't really respect what you're doing. Why? Because you're not respecting your own self. You're not respectable. Honestly, it's better for, like, what you just said is the perfect way to put it. It's like, I want my kids to know that there are things that I'm into, that I like to do, that I'm a person, a complete person that has, the capacity to help others, because I'm, full up on keep taking care of myself and being available. You're not very useful to other people if you're just like, you haven't done anything to maintain who you are.
Yeah.
Kind
of like, it's almost like full circle, like going back to me being like a fairly introspective person, like after this weekend, it's a fairly like social time on. Our conversation Big here time. Is like fairly like social, and I'm trying to bring myself out here. It's like, I'm going to go home and be like mentally exhausted. And that's when I'm like, I need like 24 hours to just kind of catch myself. I'll go ride by myself for a little bit, and then I'll be like back to myself.
That's amazing.
Instead of being like completely drained. So
I
kind of have that little bit of like, not like a stern rule, but I enjoy my, like, when I get home from certain like work trips or environments, I need like a kind of a 24-hour kind of like, all right, cool, let's just like reset, get back to myself.
You need a weekend. You need time to yourself.
Which is funny to say, I need like a reset after such a fun weekend.
Well,
but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. Kevin Jones made a little documentary about how in his life he's so introverted, right? But then he found himself in those X Games days on TV, and people expecting him to go out to dinners, and he would just drink to get comfortable, but then he would get annihilated and just be uncomfortable with how drunk he had been or whatever. And it just, like, Had he been able to just at the beginning say like, I love snowboarding, I love doing it, but I don't really love going out and shaking hands with the public and signing things.
And then that raises the question of like, that's kind of part of the job.
Big part
as
of
a
the job,
professional
isn't it?
snowboarder
Right.
sometimes, you know?
Especially that era.
Like, because there's like being a professional snowboarder and being like talented at snowboarding, being able to do the meetings, the conversations, the product, the marketing, all that stuff. You're able to be social. That all kind of comes with the territory if, you know, somebody's paying you to be at those spaces. And then there's probably somewhere out there in the world that's one of the best snowboarders in the world that is completely unknown because they don't want to do any of that crap.
Right.
You know, they're just like, all I want to do is snowboard, and I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to work on anything. I just want to snowboard. And they could be one of the best snowboarders that nobody has ever heard of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exciting, actually. It's kind of exciting. Okay, so just on that note, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting pretty tired. It's
I
like
totally
the early
understand.
morning.
Yeah, man. We're getting, and it's, people are starting to get into the beer energy here, right? We
Yeah,
gotta
you can hear it. You can hear it
hop in the
behind us.
hot tub and wood-fired hot tub. Have you ever been in one before? That's insane.
No, I definitely have burnt legs from that.
You were that. You were
like
too
I
close
looked
to
at the
the
thermos
thing?
when I was going in because
Yeah.
it was a wood fire. Obviously, it's not like a setting.
No.
And it was like 114 on the thermostat. I was like, that must be wrong. And I got in. I was like, it's really hot. It's really, really hot.
Oh no!
Took the lid off the fire. There's a hose there. Started filling it with cold water. Sure enough, temperature started coming down.
Yeah.
I get out of the hot tub. All my legs and my body's like bright red.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is not good. Yeah, I was in there for 2 hours because it was winding down.
Oh, the hot tub.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It was excellent.
Yeah.
I really loved it. I'm not burned, but I am soupy. Okay, so
Yeah.
you knew Sean White at some point, obviously. Like he was
Yeah.
on the team. He was in those meetings.
Yeah.
Would he have surpassed that responsibility for going out and meeting and greeting, just being that like elite top of the world athlete that's like, sorry, I can't do that. I'm training for 2010 Olympics. I got to come up with a new trick, and I'm just going to be in the pipe. Like, sorry, I can't go to that meet and greet with the retailers, or I am just athlete 100% of the time. I'm on Tony Hawk's Boom Boom Huck Jam that week. I can't do the thing. I'm sorry.
I mean, I didn't know him super well, so I can't answer for him.
Yeah.
But I would say he kind of did have that. He had a very strong filter of what he was going to participate in and what he wasn't going to participate in.
That makes sense.
So a lot of the times there'd be like team events where we would all be there, but Sean wouldn't be there. And then there'd be other things where Sean was there, and then we weren't there, or whatever. You know,
I got you.
It's like he ran like a very like professional celebrity, that kind of stuff. He knew what he had to do. He worked his ass off on his snowboard. Insanely talented snowboarder. He knew what he had to get done.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain degree, the snowboarding came first. Winning contests came first.
Yeah.
And then everything else came after.
I think we as a community were really hard on the guy because he didn't do the community thing because he was busy doing this insane athlete thing. That was he was the first one.
He was there to win.
To really take it to a level where there was Sean's run, and then there was kind of everybody else. Once in a while, people would beat him when he was on his game, but he was training harder, and he was just at that level. That's my own opinion. I don't know anything about it. I wasn't really watching that closely, but I think there's room for that, and I respect that now. Whereas before, I kind of didn't understand it. I didn't understand what it took for him to be who he was being.
I don't know. From my perspective, that's kind of hard for me to answer. You know, it's not really my place to kind of have an answer. I understand the question, and there's definitely like everyone has a different driving factor. You know, and there's people that, you know, they're professional snowboarders. Their main goal is to win, and they know that as a professional snowboarder, their first and foremost goal is to win if they're competitive.
Right.
So from their eyes, they're like, they can say no to all that publicity,
right,
as long as they're winning,
right?
You know,
yeah,
and then they're just winning. It's great, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But like, also then there's the other side of it where you're a backcountry snowboarder, filmer, before NST, there was all the events and stuff. Then you kind of knew that you were filming video parts, but then you also had to participate in other things because that's if somebody's paying me, I want to do a good job, and like I want to be a good worker. I'm not an employee, but I want to be a good, I guess you could quote unquote say an employee and be able to over deliver what I consider as being like a good person and somebody that's there for the brand.
That's the professional side of it for sure.
Yeah,
it's so
and I
crazy.
enjoy it too. Like don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm like, oh fuck, I got to go do this.
No,
it's
I just saw it today.
Man, I get to snowboard and I get to see some great people and I get to work on great product. I get to flex my creativity muscles. I get to flex the tools and like learning new skills of like engineering and how product works. Like it has been a really fun ride. So I can't answer for him and his perspective, but
just like you couldn't answer for a influencer or whatever. Like, there's all these new people in the space that are like influencers that are maybe their skill level is low, but they've got like a following, and then they've got it's that stuff is so foreign to where I'm coming from. But you're somewhere in there too. When we were talking about YouTube, you know about the algorithms, and thumbnails, and that's engagements.
The influencer word is very, I guess, scary. You could say.
Nobody.
It's just like
nobody over 20 wants to
honestly
be called an influencer, right?
You can make an argument that like a lot of snowboarders out there, like myself included, I'm like a filming backcountry rider. It's like I create content. It's like you could basically say I'm an influencer,
Right.
But I like to look at it as like we're doing something snowboarding that takes skill, that takes effort and work ethic and more into it rather than, the framing of a photo and knowing how to properly tag and keyword and do SEO.
Yeah.
But I do have to learn all that stuff now as I kind of open up this new window of like working with product, but I also want to showcase kind of my experiences and use that experience to do product reviews. And so now I'm learning all about YouTube. And so I am more or less becoming an influencer as much as I fucking hate that.
Mark Sollors is testing.
Don't say Mark Sollors is the influencer. No, I'm just kidding. But I like to make the argument that it's like, I will still go out there and I want to still go out there and film. I might not be spending as much time putting it or like time and effort into these film projects, but I am going to go out there when I can and showcase that I am still like, as much as I'm doing all this other stuff, I still want to make sure that I'm on a level of like a professional snowboarder that can hold up to like making, people excited, watching something, people going, oh, that was sick, or that was great. Like that is at the core of what I do. And all this other stuff is really fun. And I think it's adding longevity to my career. And maybe there's an area I can continue to stay, but like at the end of it, I am still a professional snowboarder. And that is where I want to be. And I want to make sure that's like known, I'm not getting past that.
Yeah. All right. I think we just put a period on the conversation. I think you are, in my opinion, a consummate professional. Like, you've got the whole package, the style. Like, watching you is incredible. Like,
very kind of you to say. Thank you very much.
I've seen some clips from you over the course of your career that are just jaw-dropping. And then getting to ride with you in person, it's like there's a reason like that you're a professional snowboarder, because you're really good at it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I think what you added to this trip with all these amazing people is, invaluable. It's awesome. It's not many people get to say like, oh yeah, we were on a catboarding trip with a pro and we were like hitting the stuff with them and going and having this great day. Like, that's what this whole trip is about, in my opinion.
Yeah. It was good fun. There's a couple of jokes up there where it's like, who's going first? And they're like, Mark. And I was like, what? I was like, no, this is your guys' chance to ride powder.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, put on a show. And I was like,
exactly. That's what I was alluding to before.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I felt bad. I didn't want to go first. I was like, no, I'm fortunate enough to get to ride powder. I want everyone else to experience this.
Right.
Like, go first. I'll pick up the scraps wherever they are. I'll find them,
But I mean, even for myself, my whole career, like if Devin Walsh shows up and I get to ride Seymour with Devin, when he does something, I'm like, hey, the group I'm with just did that. You know what I mean? Like, I get to feel a little bit of the like, Oh yeah, we're riding with
we
that
had
guy.
a great day.
Yeah, we had a great day
Yeah.
today. Yeah, Dev did like a
I love that. Thank you very
yeah,
much. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. So that's how it was today.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Cool. Thanks for
Nice.
doing the show again.
Thank you.
Peace. FNRad shoutouts this week to Mark Sollors and a bunch of the guys from the Burton Canada team like Zach, Evan, and Cordell. Big shoutouts to everyone who was in the Snowcat and the wonderful team at Fernie Wilderness Adventures, especially Devin and Tyler, our amazing guides. Special thanks to Fernie Resort for hooking us up with passes. Shout out to G Money and his team at Edge of the World in Fernie. Lots of cool history in that shop. Thanks to Mark, Brett, and the team at The Source in Calgary. Great riding with you guys. And big shout outs to listener Conrad Ma, who said what's up during the best day of the year at Cypress, and Adam Donaldson from Fernie, who hopped on the chair with me, stoked me out with praise for the show, and a great conversation. It's a heavy week with the passing of Jeff Keenan. Let's try our best to support each other and Jeff's family through this grieving period. There are people working on setting up some form of fundraiser. I'll share more details when I know more. Please come back next week for more FNRad snowboarding, presented by Flojoy Water and brought to you by FNRad Productions.